Hey everyone, thanks so much for joining us here on 9 News Plus on this beautiful Tuesday. I'm 9 News meteorologist Chris Bianchi, and I'm sure you're horrified that you can't see my face here today, but we're having a little bit of a technical issue, but we're working on it at that point. All you need to know, you don't really need to see my face, you just need to see the sunshine outside. It's pretty nice overhead right now, and we've got a beautiful day ahead. Temperatures low to mid 80s for us, sunshine. It is, I wouldn't say a top 10 weather day, maybe a little toasty, as we'll be in the mid 80s this afternoon, but I'd say for pretty much all intents and purposes, today should be a top 25 weather day of the year, at least if you're asking me. That's, of course, it's all subjective. I also personally love cloudy and 45-degree weather as well, but meantime, all right, let's get out of that. Sunshine returns for today. It warms on up, and storms do return for this weekend, but those storms look to be pretty hit or miss. We got monsoonal showers and storms, which means we'll probably be talking about some dry thunderstorms for the most part. HE Doppler radar right now, it is quiet. You can't find a cloud statewide right now, and that is certainly quite different to what we've had over the last few days. And for this afternoon, one of those relatively rare days that statewide we're not expecting a single drop of rain anywhere statewide for today. It's not that common that we get that this time of year. Once we get into the kind of prime monsoon months, July, August, and September, there's basically just about always a daily chance for an afternoon shower or storm. We got a big ridge of high pressure that is leading to a lot of sinking air. Of course, when we're talking about precipitation and we're talking about showers and thunderstorms, you need rising air for that. But if you've got in the mid and upper levels of the atmosphere a lot of sinking air, that's just going to suppress any of those showers and storms. And that is why today we are looking at a bit of a lid from Mother Nature on those showers and storms. For those temperatures right now, 70s and 80s on the eastern plains right now, 60s into the high country. And if you're up in Leadville at 10,000 feet, it is a comfortable 61 degrees fallish taste on this Tuesday morning up there in Leadville. Dew points, excuse me, I just sneezed there. Current dew points, a lot of 30s and 40s for us here into the high country, 50s on the eastern plains. I always mention this, dew points are measured the amount of moisture in the atmosphere. And when you get a 50-degree dew point, that's a fair bit of moisture for us here in Colorado, but this is a notably lower number than it was yesterday. It tells us we got a drier atmosphere than yesterday. It's still a bit of moisture at the surface, but that is dissipating as we speak. So for today, 85 beautiful, blissful degrees. And I'm calling it meteorological perfection. Again, this is pretty good here, folks. Not much to complain about. Not too hot, not too cold. I feel like Miss Congeniality here, and it is going to be just, again, absolutely magnificent out there on this Tuesday. And highs mostly in the 80s on the eastern plains, 60s, 70s into the high country. Notice Grand Junction 96, Moab 96. That's a sign of the warmer air mass that's going to probably push its way in our direction for tomorrow and for the day after. So when we're talking about, again, these mid-90s, that's kind of heat, that midsummer heat, that will return, but we get a bit of a break from it for today. So if you like that cooler air mass, enjoy it while we've got it. For tonight, temperatures drop back in the low 60s. Notice that sunset is really kind of ramping up, getting earlier and earlier. We're now about an hour before our latest sunset of the year. Point being, you're probably starting to notice that sunset getting later and later at this point, and we'll have our last 7:30 or later sunset of the year later on this week. Tomorrow, temperatures in the low 90s for us, lots of sunshine, a bit breezy for us. The wind will kick on up, and that'll help warm us up as well. It's a southerly wind. And we've had 30 days at 90 degrees or above so far this year. We actually got there on Sunday, and we're going to add quite a few of those days over the next little while. In fact, considering how slowly we started with those 90-degree temps, we've really made up ground here, folks. And I would say we're right around 50-50 now that we'll get to that 46-degree, 46-day, 30-year average number, because we're going to add at least 5 or 6 here over the next week, and that should get us, again, 35, 36 or so. And then we're getting into mid-September. We can add a few of those 90-degree days in through the month of September. So we'll be right around 40, 45 days at 90 or above before the year is over and done with, and we're going to be adding quite a few of those later on this week. Forecast highs for tomorrow, a lot of 90s on the eastern plains, 70s and 80s into the high country. And tomorrow, just like today, barely a drop of rain statewide tomorrow. We will see just a little bit of monsoonal action in the southern mountains, maybe into the foothills of say, west Colorado Springs up into the Rampart Range and on south into the wet mountains. That's where you could see maybe 1 or 2 showers or storms develop, but for the most part, expecting a very dry air. My sense thinks this ridge of high pressure, that's going to keep us locked in on this dry pattern. And that rainfall, this is going all the way into Thursday. And folks, not expecting much of anything until Friday. Friday would be the next chance for some of those showers and storms for us here along the Front Range. Even those looking isolated, and probably a lot of dry thunderstorms where you get kind of those mean-looking clouds, a gust of wind, and a few raindrops in the windshield, some lightning, and that's pretty much it. That's what we're looking at for Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So if you got outdoor plans this weekend, know there's a chance for some of those lightning delays, maybe a quick shower or storm, but I wouldn't plan around it. These are going to be hit or miss storms. We're not looking at anything widespread like what we had this past weekend. What we're looking at this weekend, again, looks pretty isolated in nature and not nearly as bad. Now, what is, of course, pretty bad right now, this is a look at Hurricane Idalia. This is over the eastern Gulf of Mexico. You probably heard a lot about this. This storm really revving on up. A 10 to 15 foot storm surge possible for the Big Bend and the Nature Coast of northwest Florida. This will be north of Tampa. The good news is for our friends in Tampa, St. Petersburg, it looks at this point like they'll dodge the worst of the storm. That said, Tallahassee and really east of there, this would be the Big Bend of Florida, so Cross City on south to about Cedar Key. That's the area that's going to get a really rough ride from this storm. This is expected to make landfall early tomorrow morning as a major Category 3 hurricane, and as it does so, it will bring a lot of rain and a lot of storm surge. Storm surge is always the thing to watch out for with a hurricane. So any interest out there in Florida, if you got friends or family that are in the path of this storm, let them know this is a really bad one and that they need to be heeding those local emergency managers. This system will eventually weaken on down to a tropical storm, lead to a lot of heavy rain for Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina. And then there's, by the way, interestingly, you might see at the end of the cone, that system spins out into the western Atlantic Ocean. Some of the very long-range computer models are trying to loop this back around and perhaps back into the southeastern coast of the United States. We'll see what happens with that. But in the meantime, we'll have more on Idalia later on today here on 9 News Plus. I'm sure you'll be seeing plenty about it as well. But for now, that'll do it for us here on 9 News Plus. Once again, I'm 9 News meteorologist Chris Bianchi here in Colorado, looking absolutely beautiful. Get outside and enjoy the beautiful weather on this Tuesday. Meteorologist Greg Perez. I would show you him, but we can't show you him right now. He is getting ready for 9 News at noon, and he'll have an update for you at 2 p.m. as well, right here on 9 News Plus. We'll have Chief Meteorologist Kathy Sabin in at 4 and 5, and Meteorologist Danielle Grant in at 6, 9, and 10 tonight on the 9 News family of networks. I'll leave you with that 7-day forecast. One more look at it, and again, a pretty nice forecast all in all. Once again, I'm 9 News meteorologist Chris Bianchi. Thanks for joining us here on 9 News Plus. Have a great rest of your Tuesday.